start?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, yeah, firstly, thank you for having us as Morgenrot Cooperative. And thank you for visiting us already the second time in Vienna. I've also prepared a short presentation where I want to show you, give me a second, what is the status of our cooperative and what are the challenges in our context and the kind of answers we try to give for our challenges. Can everybody see the presentation already? Okay, great. Yeah, so our cooperative is named Morgenrot, and we are striving and trying to creating a food system together, a new kind of food system together, which is, yeah, I would say quite closely connected or following the Hansalim approach. So we have one cooperative in the middle, which is the Morgenrot cooperative. Yeah, we are trying to be oriented towards the common good. It is important for us, like in Hansalim, that customers and producers are moving closer together and both parts are owning the cooperative. And our basic statements are a little bit, we want a good life for all and we want good food for all. So customers and farmers are owning the cooperative together. There's a continuous exchange and there are fair prices. So similar to Hansalim, it's important for us that the farmers are getting fairly paid. The philosophy behind is a little bit, we are following a little bit also the regenerative way of producing agricultural food. So it's more about closing nutrition cycles, and as a consequence, this means it's not a lot of high quantity from only some different kind of foods. It's more the approach of small quantities of many different products per producer, which has a high impact how logistic has to be done, which is one of our main challenges. So that's what we're doing. Part of the cooperative or of the new food system should also be in the future the logistics and the kind of food processing, which is not in the moment because we are quite on the beginning, I would say. Yeah, and we want to provide great, healthy regional and seasonal products, and step by step we also want to provide regenerative kind of products and farmers in the cooperative, and the people in our cooperative will be able to get this kind of food in our stores and in our web shops. They're getting great seasonal and regional products. Because we're supporting this kind of regenerative agriculture, we are also trying to enable a grandchildren's fit future. Yeah, and because of this regenerative agriculture, you can also, if you are shopping at Morgenrot, be active against climate and biodiversity crisis. And also fair prices on the customer side are important for us. So we should try as Hansalim to have fair prices for the producer, but also fair prices for the customers. And that's what we are trying to achieve. So as I said, we are standing quite in the beginning. So if we look at our cooperative itself, about stores and web shops, so this will be our first Morgenrot store, which is located in the 7th district in Vienna. What is the status in the moment? So in the moment, we're having approximately 130 cooperative members for the first store on Donnerplatz. The plan is to have till the opening in this autumn around 300 members, and we are on a quite good track that we will be able to achieve these 300 members. In the moment, which is a bit a challenge, but this is always a challenge in the beginning, we have a financing gap of approximately 100,000 euros in the moment to be able to open the store and to operate it. So we will cover this with a crowd investing, which is still running till the end of July, and or a bank loan, depending, what we see at the end of July. Yeah, we will start a pre-order web shop for our cooperative members in July 2024. We will then take the investment decision. So are we able to buy all the equipment for the store and open the store then in August? So there we know how much money we have also collected from the crowd investing, and we have made all the discussion with the different banks. And in the moment, the opening of the Donnerplatz is planned for October 2024. We are quite looking forward if this will happen like it is planned. What is the plan for the next year? So we're planning to open 3 locations, three stores by mid-26. The idea is similar to Hansalim, not only having one store, so to have many different stores in Vienna, and the first step will be 3 stores till mid-26. And one of our challenges is to also establish a kind of logistics network for the Greater Vienna area. I have some slides afterwards concerning that. And our second big challenge is to develop an interface standard to make a rollout of this interface standard possible. I will also show you some slides about this. And we will also start in the next year to convert the first farms to this kind of regenerative agriculture. So as we said, we need a different kind of logistics, and for that we have established a project which is called Regulog Wien for Vienna. Yeah, so this is a project where Morgenrot is only a part. Yeah, this is a project from the Viennese Food Policy Council, from the city of Vienna, together with ThinkPort Vienna and the Boku University, and we really said, okay, we need something like a regional logistic networks. What does that mean? So we do have as general conditions the idea or the condition behind it. We said, okay, large cities have the opportunity or the obligation, not the opportunity, the obligation to supply a population with food in the medium future. So I always say when there are no more tomatoes available from Spain because there is no more water there. Yeah, and if you want to do that, to supply the population with food, and also from the vicinity of the city, we have to start with that today, because if we start in 10 or 15 or 20 years, it's too late. The good thing is also when we establish this kind of regional and seasonal food systems, it also allows us to maintain or to re-establish farms. So in Austria, every year 10% of the farms are closing down, yeah, and we have to do something against it. And doing something against it means they have to be able to start living in a good way from the produce again. And one of these preconditions for that is this kind of logistic networks. Yeah. And what we also have always in mind is kind of regenerative agriculture, which means going away from the monocultures and producing a lot kind of different products in small quantities. And this also means we need a complete kind of logistic system, because today logistic is mainly working if we say, okay, we order one truck with tomatoes from Spain to a central warehouse in Vienna. This is the kind of logistic which works today, but in our vision, a logistics in the future must work differently. And if we are able to do this kind of logistics network, yeah, then we are also able to re-regionalize food processing. Yeah, we can use existing structures like kitchens, like restaurant kitchens, and so on. And if you have this kind of regionalized food processing, we automatically reduce food waste. And to make this kind of food system and this kind of logistic system possible, we need also technology, which is data and interfaces that all the involved parties can communicate with each other. So what are the project targets of this project? It's only a first small project, yeah, where we said we set the first steps towards the logistics network, yeah, and as a result of this project, we would have something like example trips to make it clear and to show to city politicians and to other interested parties how can this kind of logistic network look like and why is it that important, yeah. What we already learned is that they say for these kind of logistic networks, the soft facts are really important. So it's really important to ask the suppliers, to ask the farmers, what are the preconditions that you would participate in such a network, or what would be the preconditions that you say, no, I would never participate. That's really important. Yeah. From a city perspective, what is also important, we say we do not want the city to be the operator of this kind of network, because this will not work, and this normally the city wouldn't do because it's connected with costs and so on. But where we see the city as a provider, as a financier, and as an enabler for this kind of startup phase, that is really important, and that's why we are working so close together with the city of Vienna. And what we also think about when we discuss with the city is how can we use the resources of the city better. So there is a big vehicle fleet in the city of Vienna we could use for transporting. There is the whole public transport we could generally use. And there are a lot of ground floor zones what we can use at storage areas and logistic hubs. What is also important when you talk about real logistic network, it means we need a certain density. So we need enough quantity of food or other products which is transported via such a network that it, from an economic point of view, that it pays off so that it becomes cheap and affordable for everybody, which is important today. A lot of farmers are driving from the outside of the city in the city. And if they would really calculate their costs, their real cost, they would not do it because it's too expensive. And the last project target is that we say, okay, Vienna could be a blueprint for other cities because this kind of food systems in the future and this kind of logistics network, in our point of view, will be relevant for other cities as well. And we try in Vienna to take the first steps toward this kind of network. So I'm talking about this logistic network, but what does it really mean? So our vision is that it's a real network instead of point-to-point connections like logistic works today. That we want to transport many products in small quantities instead of only some products in large quantities. And I always try to explain it a little bit. Such a network, it looks a little bit like the network in a leaf. So you have a lot of different kind of connections, and it's a real-time network, so it can recreate itself every day in a new way, depending on which products have to go where. And this is also what we are trying with this network to bring the demand. So the products which needs to reach a destination together with the supply. So loading space, which is already on the move. And this has to be done in real time. What do you mean with loading space, which is already on the move? There are studies which are saying 40 to 50% of all the loading capacity is going empty through the city and in the vicinity of the city. And if we are able to use this kind of empty space, we can do a lot of logistics, a lot of transporting without without the need to have new transporters. And that's a little bit the idea within. In the moment for the city of Vienna, it looks like that we have to densify on the city border, and to de-densify within the city. So we will have some hubs on the city borders, and all the goods from the outskirts, from the outer area, is transported to these hubs. Within these hubs around the city, they are more or less shared, and then they are transported from different hubs to the part of the city where the hub is responsible for. And we want to use, I already said, the public transport and infrastructure, and technology and interfaces are a basis, because without that basis, it won't be possible to create this kind of network. What is the project status in the moment? I said it's only a small first kind of project. So we already did a workshop with over 30 stakeholders from all the different levels of the food system to identify what are the requirements and what are the needs and what are the preconditions that they would take part of this kind of network. So these kind of requirements are more or less known, I would say. We're already starting alignment with other municipal departments. So when I say we work together with the city of Vienna, we work together with a small part of the city, and this is also a big learning. There are so many different departments and so on, and we have to share this kind of idea of a logistics network in as many parts of the municipality as possible. And the more people know about it and the more people understand it, the more people will support it. That's the idea behind it. We will do the first example trips and record them and make a nice video out of it in autumn this year. This is really important for us, because this kind of video will be then the base to start the communication also with political stakeholders in the city. And the idea is really from the next year to get something like a follow-up project on a larger scale, where we said, okay, and now we are going away from these example trips and really trying to set all these preconditions that this kind of logistics network will be possible in the future, for the city of Vienna and the greater area of Vienna. So this is the first kind of thing where we said, additionally to building up our cooperative and doing all the things which are important that the people can buy good food, we also somehow have to take care about these logistic networks, because this is a precondition that we can also scale it up. So doing the transport for one shop from outside the city to the city of Vienna is perhaps possible. But if we think about it on a larger scale, we really have to set this kind of network that this transportation and logistic issues get solved somehow on itself. And the second point, I already mentioned it a little bit, are more or less the connections between the different part of this food system or of this network. And we said, okay, we have to think about a solution about this kind of connections between the network part. So to emphasize the problem shortly, all the stakeholders in regional food systems or in new food systems, if it's producers, if it's transporters, if it's stores, if it's online stores, whatever, they have some problems together. Problem number one is they have high transaction cost, which means if I want to cooperate directly with another partner, the manipulation efforts or the time and effort to align orders, delivery bills, stock levels, invoices, and this kind of information is quite high. And additionally, especially for small players, often there is no digitization or automation of these players, which makes it even higher from the manipulation effort. As a consequence of that, in today's food systems, there is often just one sales channels for the producer, because this manipulation is too high. Many producers decide, okay, I sell all my food, all my produce to one bulk buyer or wholesaler. And as a consequence of that, there are also on the other side, if you want to operate Morgenrot stores or other kind of stores which are an alternative to the classical supermarkets, there are not so many direct suppliers where we can get other kind of products than the products which are sold in the supermarket. So also we as Morgenrot have a little bit the issue to say, okay, we need a lot of suppliers, but we have to organize it. We have to find them, we have to organize them, and we have to make it in the way that these transaction costs are quite low, which is a challenge in the beginning. And as a consequence of all that, the food system, how we're having it today, having a low profitability, which means there are low prices that the producers receive for the products because they're generally selling it to bulk buyers or wholesalers, and there are high prices for alternative stores or online stores, and as a consequence also for the end customers. And I said, okay, what can we do against that? And the solution, we call it in the moment DigiRegio, which is also important. This is also not solely a Morgenrot project, because we do not have the knowledge and the capabilities to do it within the cooperative, but it's I would say a cooperation between the Morgenrot cooperative and Lotzep, which is a software company which generally makes IT systems for producers, for stores, and so on. And they in the end are doing it. So the solution could be or will be DigiRegio, which is an interface standard that connects the players with each other, and which is important for us, ensures system independent data exchange. So if we're having this kind of interface standard, what will happen? We will increase the efficiency, because there will be lower transaction and personal costs through this digitization of business relationships and this automation of data exchange, which means today, if I want to order with a direct supplier, I have to call him or write in WhatsApp or send him an email or whatever. In the future, in my logistics and ERP systems, I would enter the order directly in my system. I press a button and automatically the order is transferred to the supplier, and the supplier automatically gets a pop-up in his or her system and then can process this order. As a consequence, we can establish and expand business relationships. So everybody can develop other sales channels. That's the wholesale sales channels in the moment, and where they also get paid better prices. And which is important if they already have ERP or goods management system, they do not have to be replaced, so they can go on working with the existing systems without having to replace them. As I said already before, this is also the basis to create regional logistic networks. And as a consequence, generally, we can make regional food systems more resilient, because there are more sales opportunities for producers, so they can more yeah, more or less freely choose to whom they want to sell the produce. Yeah. As a consequence of that, we can also re-regionalize the food processing because it's now easy to transport a small batch of products to the next restaurant, which is making, I don't know, soup out of the ingredients, and these soups can transport it easily to the next stores. As a consequence of that, we can reduce food waste because we can process the food before it gets wasted. Yeah. And we will also have larger, more affordable and regional product ranges for stores and online stores. Perhaps, yeah, some figures of market relevance in Austria. Yeah. So at the moment, 28% of all farmers in Austria are active in this kind of direct marketing. So meaning selling not to wholesalers or chains, but directly to customers or to other kind of stores and so on. 83% of all farmers in Austria see it as an opportunity for the futures, and 72% have not yet engaged in this kind of direct marketing. And this is one of our conclusions. The main reason for that is because doing this kind of direct marketing is quite a high effort, and we have to reduce this effort significantly, that a lot of more farmers are more or less doing this or starting this kind of direct marketing. So perhaps to give you a short overview, what does it mean? Yeah, business relation today, if you look at farmers, at wholesale logistics, and at stores and web shops, looks a little bit like that. Yeah, so there are, in this example, 9 different kind of business relations. Only one of that is direct. So most relations are not direct, but via the intermediary, the wholesaler or the logistics, yeah, and only one is direct. If we use DigiRegio in the future, this would change significantly. So we would have a lot more of different business relations. So in this example, it's 32, and 24 of the 32 business relations would be direct relations, which would mean a big shift in the kind of how relations between the different part of the food systems are created or done in the future. Yeah. Yeah, so this is what we want to do with DigiRegio. What is the status now? Yeah, in the moment already, if both sides are using this LOTSAP ERP system, then this already works. But this is not the idea, because we say we do not want to sell a ERP or goods management system. We want to enable that the different parts of the food system start communicating with each other and sharing data. So it must not be connected to using a different kind of software. And we're really happy that we received some weeks ago a grant from the Austrian Wirtschaftsagentur, I don't know, Austrian Economy Agency or something like that, yeah, for developing and advancing this interface standard. And so we have some money now to go the next steps in developing this interface standard. We will design and implement this kind of data exchange, which will be and we will use for that open source tools or prototypes which are already existing. So we are trying not to reinvent the wheel completely new, but we are looking what is already existing as tools we can use for that. Yeah, we'll then define together with some clients we are already having between Morgenrot and our suppliers which kind of data exchange formats do we need. Yeah, and they will start programming it and implement this data model that this kind of data exchange will be possible. So as I said, if both sides are using this LOTSAP system, which is in our cooperative the issue for us as Morgenrot stores and for some of our suppliers, we can start this data exchange in August, because if both sides are using this software, it's already possible. But that's, as I said, should not be the general solution. Yeah. But with this learning we are having there, we will have the first prototypes ready end of 24, and we will implement the first formats mid of 25. Yeah, that's what we want to do there. And this is also something which is not, which is not connected only to Vienna, Austria. The idea or philosophy behind it is a little bit everybody in the end in whole Europe can and should be enabled to use this kind of interface standard, because this is, from our point of view, this can be a big game changers to lower this transaction cost between different parts heavily, and as a consequence make other business opportunities or other kind of business relationships possible, which are so much of an effort today that these kind of relations are often, not realized because it's so much of an effort. Yeah, that was it shortly from my side. I hope it was not too technical. Yeah, thank you very much.
Oops. Thank you, Martin. I've seen in the chat lots of the questions have been answered by text. So I think what I'll do is end the webinar formally now. So feel free to leave whenever you like, without without feeling embarrassed. And then if anyone feels like they have extra questions or questions that haven't been answered, I'll stay in the chat. I'll stay in the call so you can add them into the chat. And then if you want to keep a record, save the chat, which you can do with the 3 dots at the top. You can click to save the chat, and then you'll have your own record. I will also do the same. Yeah, so for anyone who wants to hang on a bit longer, so add a few more questions, and we'll carry on for another 5-10 minutes until I collapse from exhaustion, and then I will close the meeting. Okay. Slides, yeah, I'll share the slides with everybody. Okay, goodbye, Marianne. A few people saying goodbye. So anyone with any more questions or questions that you think haven't been answered yet, you can add them to the chat, or just now there's fewer of us, it'll be easier to do it verbally as well.
May I ask the question, because I think it wasn't directly answered. So I'm quite new to the Hansalim story. I've heard about it, but I've never been to South Korea or visited any of the Hansalim stores. So first of all, kind of curiosity, how does a typical Hansalim consumer look like? And I found it very interesting from Mison's presentation that there are some concerns and worries regarding the inclusion empowerment of marginalized and underprivileged people. And I would like to know what are the plans, actually, the planned strategies and actions to increase inclusion, social inclusion regarding low income or actually living in poverty households, because this is actually also a concern in a cooperative where I'm a bit engaged in the city of Innsbruck, how to better integrate people with, let's say, less money.
Can I answer now, Jonathan?
Yeah, please.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, as I showed in the slides, just including from the beginning, the Hansalim's very ambitious. One of the Hansalim's vision is to include all the marginalized people, including nature, even non-organism things or animals, plants. So we are implementing some movements and also business, and in the process, as I mentioned, one of the main one of the methods to join the Hansalim movement is buy organic food, buy organic products. And so because of the price, it's a little bit hard to, it's a little bit hard to join with the low-income people. So yeah, that's one of our worries and concerns. So as I mentioned, we doing some special programs like originally we have to buy to our members, but we have other MOUs like with schools. So we offer schools the organic food materials. So all in Korea, we just a free school meal. We give students, all the students, free school meal. So the material we offer the material like that, or for the pregnant people, we join the government business program as a member like that, or just senior for the local senior citizens. We give them to like one of the care program. We just give them, or just yeah, we have other programs to join or offer to the younger or low income people. So yeah, we are finding or searching the method to join and empower people. One more is we have lots of education program or lectures about Hansalim or climate change or food and agriculture. So this is one of other methods to meet with the citizens. Is it answer?
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah. Great.
Any more questions to ask immediately? There was one question I saw about regarding the range of products offered. How do you deal with the demand for unhealthy products like alcohol or highly processed foods?
Jonathan, will you answer or me?
Yeah, I can say a little bit.
Yeah.
So I guess the processed foods, Hansalim does produce processed foods, and the number of processed foods is growing. But the way they do it is to avoid artificial additives, and also to have lower sugar and salt content. So the idea is to make processed foods as natural and healthy as possible. Because obviously the whole purpose of Hansalim is to provide healthy and safe food. So they do also produce alcohol. My favorite is 40% soju made by traditional processes. Yeah, I guess alcohol's unhealthy maybe, but it also oils the wheels of cooperative, management. So it has its uses too. Are there any other comments about processed foods and unhealthy?
The answer is like simple. Hansalim tried to avoid deal with the unhealthy food. That's the simple answer. And alcohol is sometimes it's a very traditional culture, not unhealthy. It's sometimes healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Are there production plants independent cooperatives? A question from Rachel Anderson. Misang, do you want to talk about that briefly?
About production plants.
Yeah, so how how they organize different,
Basically, all of the producers, they are run community based, not an individual farm or individual plant, just community based but maybe there will be a little bit of exception. But yeah, basically they run by themselves, the community or the plants or just some things. Yeah, and additionally, the local cooperatives are independent also.
Yeah. And I can add
So
to that
if-
also that oh sorry, I was going to say that the producer communities, one of the ways they would operate is to set up a separate cooperative or business entity to manage processing or some of the logistics or what have you. So you might have, for example, a community of around 160 farmers who formed a federation, and then within that structure they have different business entities, cooperatives, etc., that manage different parts of the business activities.
So just to be clear, so if a group of farmers think we could make, I don't know, marmalade or kimchi or some other product and put it in jars, they would go together and make their own entity where they were the producers of the raw materials, and then somebody would be in charge of fermenting, cooking, whatever, putting it in jars, labeling it, and then it would be sold in the Hansalim stores, or so it's like a cooperative within the cooperative movement.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I think.
yeah.
Is that correctly
basically.
understood? Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Cool,
basically,
thank you.
we have very small cooperative in just Hansalim Federation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Many hundreds.
Yeah, hundreds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions, or I can wrap it up now? I'll save the chat, and then if there's any unanswered questions, I'll follow up with a group email, and also attach the slides as well. Okay. All right. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Thank
It was
you.
lovely.
Bye bye.
Stop the recording.